You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your coach, Jason.
This is your coach, Danny.
Fans, we got a full story for you today. But first, happy homecoming to Florida A&M University. Rattlers, welcome back to the Hill. First, Danny, we'll talk about a little NFL. We'll go into some other topics here about maybe Formula One, a little NBA, since the season has started. But first, Danny, right on to the NFL, where the Green Bay Packers, oh boy, Green Bay Packers are in trouble. It ain't going to be no RELAX either. They are in trouble from what I see. This was an atrocious game by the Packers, man. They lost to the Washington Commanders in Washington 23-21.
Mm-hmm.
And where Aaron Rodgers went 23 for 35 for 194 yards, 2 touchdowns. And those, ironically enough, those 2 touchdowns went to Aaron Jones. Didn't go to a receiver. Packers running game is terrible, man. Danny, Packers only ran for 38 yards. 23 yards by Aaron Jones on 8 carries, 15 yards on 4 carries by A.J. Dillon. The thing, though, is Aaron Jones had 9 catches out of the backfield. Again, like I mentioned before, for 2 touchdowns. Danny, that's the problem. There's no trust in the wide receiving core. Mm-hmm. Allen Lazard did have 6 catches for 55 yards, but after that, man, you only had Sammy Watkins going for 2 catches, 36 yards, man. Robert Tonyan, the tight end, 3 catches. This was just such a bad offensive game. Defensively, Green Bay did score off a pick 6. There's just some things not clicking. The offensive line, there's some struggles there. That's possibly why there isn't a lot of rushing happening. When you don't rush, you can't do play action. But when you don't have confidence in throwing the ball to your receivers, that's a whole nother thing in itself. After the game, there were rumors that the Packers are actually looking for a wide receiver. Go figure. We could have told you that when you all decided to let Devontae go.
Mm-hmm.
Devontae could have easily stayed. You could have easily just go ahead and pony up the money. But what this proves to me, Danny, is Devontae really covered a lot. He covered a lot of the woes that the Packers actually has. And not only that, you let Valdez-Scantling go as well, who's with the Chiefs. So not only do you have a deep threat that's gone, but you have basically a Hall of Fame receiver that's gone. I don't know how you make that up. The Packers will face off against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. I know Aaron Rodgers said, well, this may be good for them, that this would be a good test for them. I don't know if you want that test right about now, because the way your offense looking, Matt LaFleur, Aaron Rodgers, no way y'all can contend with these Buffalo Bills. What say you, Danny?
Yeah, Jason. Another thing of note to add to what you mentioned was the special teams. So it was a critical drop punt where the Commanders recovered it and went on to score, where if the Packers had that ball, it could have been a different ball game. So that was a critical mistake on the special teams. And I think looking at that as well with the rushing attack, when they were winning those games earlier in the season, A.J. Dillon was getting a ton of touches.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron Jones, you know, they had to rectify some things after that first game because A.J. Dillon out-touched Aaron Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Now they went the other way, and so is their season. So I think that's part of it as well. Is there's no balance,
Not at all.
and I think some of that he could be giving to AJ Dillon to take because the focus is going to be on Aaron Jones, and Aaron Jones is prone to injury. So if he's getting the ball a lot, I would rather take some of that off of him and put it on AJ Dillon and get him more involved in the offense, especially with the receivers playing the way they are right now. Green Bay has prime time Sunday night against Buffalo, and Buffalo's coming off a bye. So this is one of those games where they can sneak them because Buffalo could come out rusty and they can jump on them early and kind of stun them a little bit. But it's one of those things where the Packers get the it's like a tale of two halves in every game because they're up 14-3 in this game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they let Taylor Heineke and the Commanders just go off. And Terry McLaurin, if people hadn't seen him before this game, there's a reason they call him Scary Terry. He made some crazy catches in that game that ultimately got the Commanders that victory. So we'll see what happens this week, man. But that was a tough loss for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, it was, man. And just to add, Danny, Romeo Doubs had 4 targets, no catches. He had a drop in the critical third down towards the end of the game there. And, man, he was right at the sticks, could have went ahead and actually gave him a first down and continued to drive possibly on a victory. But just didn't work out, Danny. So, yeah, Packers are in trouble, man. Now on to your Atlanta Falcons, Danny. Your Falcons went ahead and took this L as well. So I'm not going to let that slide by. 35-17, Cincinnati Bengals goes ahead and demolishes the Atlanta Falcons, man. But I'll say this, Marcus Mariota, 8 for 13, 124 yards, 1 touchdown. At least you all had over 100 yards rushing. So that speaks volumes in my opinion. But Joe Burrow just goes off, man. 34 for 42, 481 yards on y'all, man. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. It seems like the Bengals just wanted this game, man, and they needed this game.
Mm-hmm.
And so they went ahead and took the game. What say you about your Atlanta Falcons, Danny?
Jason, when I saw that cornerback fall on that first touchdown from Joe Burrow to Tyler Boyd, I knew we were in trouble. I was like, man, this doesn't look good. And Cincinnati jumped on us 21-0. We ended up making it 28-17 by half, but then we didn't score in the second half. Atlanta was true to their game plan. They ran the ball like they always do, so they haven't been throwing. Obviously, Mariota only had 13 attempts, so that's consistent. And it was just the defense just got annihilated. Jamar Chase, over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyler Boyd, 155 yards receiving. And they were trying to get Joe Burrow that 500-yard mark because they were going for it at the end of the game. I'm like, oh, man, this is wild here. And he almost got it. There were a couple drops at the end Cincinnati had, but it was one of those games where Atlanta was just outmatched, man, on the defensive end. They have a lot of injuries, and it showed big time. A.J. Terrell got hurt in this game, and that's their number 1 cornerback. We'll see what happens next week. We play Carolina, who out of the blue surprised the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm assuming we can get this game, but that's why they play the game every Sunday. We got to get Pitts in London. Didn't do too much in this game either. So it's one of those things where I know they're running the ball pretty well, but they still got to keep London and Pitts involved in the offense and at least make them a threat.
And Danny, on to some more NFL news and where Matt Ryan, man, the Indianapolis Colts, gets benched. What say you?
Jason, we've talked about Indy and them having a short leash on things. They cut their kicker when he missed those field goals in the first game of the season. They did what they did to Carson Wentz after last year's debacle in Jacksonville, which cost them the playoffs. And yesterday it was announced that Matt Ryan would be benched, even though he has a shoulder injury. But even when he recovers, he's going to be benched for the season for Sam Ellinger, uh, which surprised me. But at the same time, Matt Ryan, I think the nail in the coffin was against the Titans this past Sunday, where he had back-to-back interceptions. One was the pick six. He's just turning the ball over too much. And part of it is their offensive line hasn't been consistent. They've had the running game has been kind of all over the board, but Frank Reich, I don't know how he's sliding in all of this.
You're right about that.
If anybody I thought was next on the chopping block was him. So for them,
him or the GM.
Yeah. So that being said, it's not cool to see Matt Ryan get benched, but at the same time, he's costing them games, and they need him. They brought him in with Super Bowl aspirations, and when he's throwing the ball, he's fumbling, and he's doing all the stuff he was doing at Atlanta. Honestly, in the last few years, he's done that over his career, where he throws key interceptions and things like that, where it costs him the game. And this team can't do that. They don't have the talent level to absorb those mistakes. Jonathan Taylor's been hurt. He just came back this week. So all in all, I'm surprised they said it was for the season. I thought they would just say, all right, you go get healthy. We'll do this with Sam. But they just all up said, you're benched unless an injury happens. So it's sad to see it, but at the same time, it's one of those things where its performance matters. And Indianapolis is on the brink of not making the playoffs based on where their current standings are. They still have a shot because their division is horrible. But they got swept by Tennessee, and Matt Ryan was mostly blamed for that from an offensive standpoint.
Danny, now on to the NBA, where the NBA has finally started. Thank you, Lord. Man, it has been great having the NBA back. A few surprises, though, Danny. Let me just say that. Our Milwaukee Bucks, 2-0 right now, with wins against the Philadelphia 76ers to open up, and then had a win against the Houston Rockets at home as the home opener. But just a surprise that the Philadelphia 76ers right now, they're 1-3. And I don't know about you, Danny, but they just don't look good. I think Harden, he looks physically fit, or a little bit fitter than he has been in the past, showing up at the very beginning of the season. But let me just say, I think he's starting to go back to pounding the ball. And just the flow of the offense is just not good. I don't know how that's going to bode well with them, for them, especially with Embiid. But let me just say, I think Doc Rivers is in trouble, man. He is on a hot seat. And for them to start off 1-3, we'll see what happens within the first 15 games, Danny. I can see it in where if the Philadelphia 76ers does not have a solid record in that time frame, oh boy, look out. I can see Doc Rivers being gone. I will also say this, man. In looking at the Milwaukee Bucks, I think we're on to something here. I like the adjustment Bud has made. For too many years, we have seen 3-pointers by opposing teams just really skyrocket. Every time they play us, their percentage goes up. That's because we always, pack the lanes, right? We always play that drop coverage and everything. And I think the small tweak that Coach Bud has made was to really extend the defense out a little bit to really contest the 3-point jumpers and everything. So that has been, I think, a difference maker and will be a difference maker moving forward. I mean, the league is going to the 3-pointers, and they're going to just continue to shoot more, and they're going to continue to make more. So I think this is a good small adjustment by Coach Bud. Yeah, man, NBA is back, Danny. I will say the Lake Show, those Lakers in trouble, man. Those Lakers are in trouble, Danny. You talking about some bricks.
They can't shoot a lick.
Oh my gosh, man. I think the game against the Portland Trailblazers when Westbrook at the end, towards the end, man, goes down. I think they were actually up. So I'm like, man, why are you shooting if you're up?
Yeah, it was a 2-for-1 he tried to do.
Yeah, man. I was like, Westbrook, what you doing? And then the announcer was like, no, Westbrook. And he shot up that brick.
All you can do is laugh, Jason. Otherwise, you cry.
Hey man, I'm trying to understand, and hopefully, somebody will help inform me and educate me. But you're a professional athlete, you're a professional basketball player, pass, dribble, shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And over the summer, you know that shooting is going to be of high demand for your team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing necessarily an adjustment in Westbrook's shot, his form, or anything like that. It seems like it's the exact same from year one to now, where he raises up and then kind of shoots. It's not like he's shooting going up.
It's not fluid.
It's not fluid at all. It's like a little hitch there.
Yep.
Danny, I think the Lakers going to have to do something before trade deadline, man. I'm thinking they're going to have to make a trade sooner than that, man. I mean, so that's a surprise to me. And the other surprise to me, Danny, two surprises: San Antonio Spurs and the Utah Jazz. Here, I'm thinking that they're going to try to tank a little bit, and these cats busting out at 3-1 right now.
And they're fun to watch, Jason. I don't know if you watched any of their games. They are fun to watch.
Yeah, and so this is going to be interesting, man. Pelicans, I knew they were. I had a feeling they were going to be pretty good. I'm really looking forward to them progress in the season. Hopefully, this looks like Zion Williamson is out for the game here after his fall. I just hope that this doesn't become a normal occurrence here. But yeah, Danny, those are my surprises. What say you about the NBA?
Jason, Utah was one of my surprises. So I have the NBA League Pass trial. Just checking it out, catch this first 7 games, and I watched a couple of the Utah games, and I know there's rumors around them still making trades and making moves, but their lineup with Clarkson, when they have Clarkson, Conley, Markkanen, Lauri Markkanen, they got Olynyk, they got Beasley, they got Vanderbilt. So they don't have like a star per se, but they got a lot of dudes that can play, and they play well together, and they're up and down. There was a game I watched with them and the T-Wolves when they went to overtime with Timberwolves the other night, and they ended up beating them. And it was interesting because that was the Rudy Gobert trade to see Gobert against Utah. So they're definitely a surprise. Minnesota, they're starting off slow. Their defense is not there right now. They're not playing any defense. So they need to make adjustments, especially getting Gobert. So they have someone sitting in the middle. They need to make some adjustments there. From the Eastern Conference, the Cavaliers seeing Donovan Mitchell. And they look tough. They have some depth, and they have the pieces to at least make a deep run if they stay consistent. And that addition of Donovan Mitchell is definitely key. The Bucks start off after that first road game. They have Brooklyn tomorrow night, and they have a 6-game homestand, which is unusual in the NBA. So they got to take advantage of those games, being at home, getting that home rest. And like I said, Brooklyn's tomorrow night. That'll be a good game. Brooklyn starting off slow. The Heat starting off slow. They had a good game last night with Toronto, but they're still not in sync yet. So this is just those early working through some things, getting that rust off, because preseason is not as it used to be. But all in all, man, Portland's 4-0. And I don't know if you saw the clip where they were playing Phoenix and Damian Lillard went up to Ayton before he shot those free throws and said, "Have you ever made free throws in these circumstances before?" And Ayton missed. It was to tie the game. But it was something funny. But all in all, man, it was good. See the ring ceremony by the Warriors. They're starting off pretty well here. It's so good start to the season, and I'm just enjoying this NBA League Pass, and I have some decisions to make in a couple of days. So,
and now, Danny, on to a little Formula One news. Let me just say that I did have the opportunity to watch the race that was in Austin, Texas this past Sunday, and where Sir Lewis Hamilton, he actually came in second. Max Verstappen came in first. This particular race in Austin, Texas, it was not as fun, if you will, as the race in Miami. It was just something about just the liveliness, just the pomp and circumstance,
the tone.
Yeah, man. It was just something about Miami that it just made it a thing to go to. Wasn't like that necessarily in Austin, Texas. Did see Shaq, Brad Pitt, who I believe is actually making a Formula One movie next year, on the heels of the success of the Netflix documentary on Formula One. But other than that, man, it just didn't have that flair. As Miami. And I would also say when it goes to Vegas, when Formula One goes to Vegas next year, I don't think Austin, Texas would have that flair either. So I think it's going to be interesting to see in the future what they do with the Austin, Texas race. Now, granted, they broke some records now. They had over the weekend about 400,000 plus fans attend. Monetarily, they actually did very well. But just if I had my choice of going to Miami, Vegas, or Austin, just how the race is and how it was structured and everything, I ain't going to Austin. That's not gonna be my first pick.
Yep.
Out of those three, that Austin would be my third pick. So interesting race. Max Verstappen obviously has won the points, or has enough points to become world champion as a last race. Red Bull has won the Constructors Championship. I'm still interested in knowing what the FIA is going to do about the budget cap violations last year. I understand that there's been a suspension in the budget cap talks between Red Bull and FIA. I'm just real curious as what's going to happen here, man, and what consequences they're going to put on Red Bull. Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at @back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.